everyone. I'm Kim Smith, Superintendent of the Wakefield Public Schools, and I'm joined here today by my Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Doug Lyons. And
good afternoon.
We're happy to be here to talk a little bit about Learn Anywhere. I think there's been a lot of buzz about the Learn Anywhere school cancellation project. I know that teachers are talking about it, kids are talking about it, parents are talking about it. I've sent out some communications, but I thought it might be a great idea to record a show today so that from home families can learn a little bit more about Learn Anywhere. So I thought we might start by just talking about, Mr. Lyons, that Learn Anywhere is more than just a school cancellation project. It's a little broader than that. Maybe you could just start by speaking to that.
Sure. It's more than just about snow days. It's about our mission and our core values, which are to inspire a love of learning for students and to give them opportunities to learn outside of school and to use technology to do that. Right. So in the way that we have it set up, it's actually comprised of three projects. One is for students to work during snow days and to construct or create assignments on different timelines. The other parts of this are we're going to have a blended learning course, which is an online course that we're going to offer to students at the high school level. And the third part is to have personalized learning during the summer for what used to be traditionally summer reading and summer math. Now we're really thinking more about how to use technology to really enhance and personalize what that learning could look like, not only during the summer, but during the school year, and also maybe to support students as well if they need additional support.
Right, so I think it's really about kind of the extension of student learning, isn't it, right? It's about students thinking about school maybe a little bit differently, thinking beyond the start and end times of a school day, or beyond the four walls of a school building, right. Or beyond the school year and into the summer. Just kind of thinking about that learning can happen anytime, anywhere. And in 2017, that's possible, largely due to technology.
I think there's no question about it. We know that all of our students at the high school level and for our rising middle and also our elementary students, using technology to learn is already a big part of their lives. Our high school students will all take at least some college courses or some of their high school courses even online. And that's what we're really trying to start to learn about and think about, and how to expose students to that so that they can kind of have that experience before they get to the college level.
Right, extensions of their learning, independent learning, and as you stated at the beginning, inspiring their love of learning. Right. When they start to see learning as something that happens anytime, anywhere, any place, I think that's a really important factor. But I think specifically for this program, we wanted to talk about the school cancellation project, or the snow days, which is pretty exciting. And so the last day of school is Tuesday, June 19th. Yeah. And it's actually pretty wonderful just to be able to state that without reservation in September, and to be able to tell parents and families and teachers that that's when the last day is going to be. I think it really helps families to plan, and for the year it helps teachers to plan. But I think most importantly, it's the idea of moving from compliance to quality learning experiences. Right. So as you know, for a long time in education, certainly at least since education reform in 1993, we are compelled to have students in school for 180 school days, and if there was a day canceled due to weather, typically snow, but really any kind of weather, if school was canceled, then we would have to tack on these snow days, these makeup days at the end. And really, it's a compliance activity. And I think anyone, whether you're a teacher in school, or you're a student in school, or you're a parent at home, knows that those are not the optimum time for student learning. Certainly from the standpoint of connection to the curriculum. Curriculum unfolds over the course of the year, in units, and then there's that kind of detailed, planned, ending time in June. And if we end up getting thrown off a bit by snow days, teachers typically don't kind of wait to the very last day to make sure all of the instruction unfolds. So a lot of times those makeup days, people are kind of struggling to keep some learning fresh, to give the kids something new. A lot of our buildings don't have air conditioning, and the kids certainly know it's supposed to be vacation, and they might lament a bit being in school. And like I say, I think for a long time in schools, we've all just kind of lived with this compliance activity. But around 2015, when we had that really, really snowy winter,
Right.
the Department of Education even started to kind of think more broadly and kind of open the door for school districts to think about alternative learning options, and viable ones. And again, the focus is on quality, not on quantity. So I think the first thing people have to really think about is this is not about making sure that a student is sitting in a chair or at a desk for 6 consecutive hours.
Right.
This is about making sure that the Wakefield Public Schools, if we should cancel a day due to inclement weather, that we're able to, largely using online digital tools, but it really could take place the old-fashioned way with pencil and paper as well, that we will be assigning students with quality learning experiences that the students will have to do or complete or create some kind of an end product to kind of count for that school day. So we're really pretty excited about that opportunity. You already mentioned, Doug, the career and kind of college readiness piece. You touched on that just a bit when you said that most of our students will take an online course at some point, either in high school, but very likely in college, or even as part of the workplace, as a recertification. Lots of folks are taking online classes now, and I think it's a great opportunity for our kids to dip their toe in that a little bit and
Right.
kind of get used to that. I also think about, one of our staff members really pointed out, and it was very true, that in 2017 today, more and more people work from home, and that presents its own challenges.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever worked from home and had some of those challenges, but when it's really like learning to kind of manage your time, manage the setting,
Right.
There might be, the urge to turn on the television, or, well, for kids it's probably Netflix or something, but to do something else, or the distractions that might be at home, and to be able to set aside the time you need to get some work done is a great college career and ready skill and good practice for that.
I don't think there's any question to it. I mean, the worlds are not mutually exclusive. It's the skills that students use at school and they use to learn at home using digital tools. There is a point of intersection, and I think that that's one of the things that we will help students develop in this program. Right. I think you touched on this. A few of our goals is access and engagement. Right. And so the idea about students being at home, being able to kind of work on what's assigned by teachers on kind of a rotating basis depending on the level that they're at, elementary, middle, or high school, I think it's going to be a learning curve for us in regard to how students are doing that. Some students are going to be able to jump in and do this kind of immediately. Other students are going to need some coaching. And that's where we think about the accessibility piece. And one of the positives about this program is that there's an entry point for everyone. Right. And the way that the assignments are going to be created by teachers, they will not be due when the next day comes. So if there's one snow day and they return to school on the following day, their assignments will not be due on that day.
Right.
Okay, and what that allows for is for teachers to be very creative and thoughtful based on the learner, based on the students and what their needs are, but also to be creative around how the work that the students will be doing will contribute to the curriculum that they're studying as well.
Right.
So.
And I think you've touched upon a central tenet of the Learn Anywhere School cancellation project, that the students' work or their assignments will never be due on the day they return after the snow day,
right.
or snow days, plural. And the reason that's very, very important has to do with equity and access, as you mentioned.
Right.
So we want to make sure that if for any reason a student doesn't have the internet at home, doesn't have a device to use at home, or maybe there's one device and 4 siblings that need the device.
Right.
We want to make sure that we have equitable access for all students and all families. And we also, we could have a power loss, sometimes comes with inclement weather. But even beyond that, for a variety of reasons, a student might be on an IEP and require some services or some support to access the learning. So that might be something that we need to think about. On a snow day, parents may not be home, and they might be off to work. And if children are at home, depending on the child or the age of the child or the nature of the child, it might need some support, or some oversight, if you will. So by allowing more time before the assignments are due, and you'll talk in a moment about whether the due dates of assignments, and there's actually 3 different levels of assignments that can be assigned. Short-term, end of unit, or longer term. But depending on that due date, it really provides that kind of time needed to make sure that every kid gets what they need to be successful. Right. So I think that equity piece is a really, really important one, that sort of central tenet of not being due that next day that school comes into play. So maybe that would be a good transition to the FAQ. So we have a frequently asked questions document that's on our Learn Anywhere website. And you can find the Learn Anywhere website by going to learnanywhereproject.org. And one of the documents right there are the frequently asked questions document that we put together. And we just thought, when we created it, we thought, okay, if I was a parent at home, what questions would I have? And how can we best describe this school cancellation project through this? So maybe you can just take us through some of the bullets, and we can always tag team off on it a bit.
Sure, I can absolutely do that. I think the frequently asked questions, that the information that we've provided under this header or this banner is just kind of a general start. We know that more questions will come up that we will need to address, and I think teachers will also kind of be able to address those as well as they're working through this project. I think, but the first is, is this project like the Blizzard Bag project, like some other districts and some other states have tried? We know that the Blizzard Bag projects are very popular in the Midwest, where inclement weather really plagues the school year and the school calendar. And really, it's just starting to come to the Northeast. We are one of the first districts to get into this, and so there are some similarities in regard to the Blizzard Bag, but I think one of the differences is, and I think you touched on this, is the idea of creativity and flexibility, right? When you say equity, we want all students to participate in their learning, but we also want to create some choice, opportunity, and allowances for kids and teachers to be creative. So there are some similarities to the Blizzard Bag concept, but there are also some differences. And again, I think one is the use of technology, the flexibility, the choices that teachers can make in regard to when projects are due, or when assignments are due, and what the nature of those assignments will be like and look like.
Right.
So.
And I think in some of the Blizzard Bag models I've heard about from the Midwest or in other states, they seem to be 2 things. One, a bit like homework assignments, which is, okay, we were going to do this worksheet in school, so now please take this home and do the worksheet at home.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not across the board, but I think we're hoping for richer, fuller learning experiences that are more commensurate with a school day experience, or even something that is even, enhanced even further by the personalization or the choice, or, engaging students with some of the online tools and digital tools.
Right.
And then the other, I think, biggest difference is it's not really a compliance-based activity.
Yeah.
So I know that in other parts of the country, some of the methodology of is the snow day successful would be a checklist of like counting how many assignments came in, and if you meet a certain threshold, then it counts as a snow day. And I think we really want to steer away from compliance activities altogether, because I think that's what this is not about. I think if we've emphasized anything, is it's about quality, not compliance. So we do have a method of checking, which we'll talk about a little bit later, in terms of what is the accountability factor? How do we know that it's working and it's working well? But we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, other questions that we know are going to come up are, what if a student doesn't have access to technology? Or what if they need some extra help to complete a project? There are allowances and structures in this program so that students can get the support that they need to get their work done, just like they would during the regularly scheduled
That's
day.
right. They have access to their teachers. They have instructional support staff or other service staff. They have their, school resources for technology. They have the town resources for technology at the BB Library. So making sure we give them time to access those is really the key, that they would have the same access as they have any other time that they're working in school.
Right. And so, we know that for students to complete their work, they need time and space, and we're going to provide that to them. And we know that the adults, the teachers, and everyone involved, because all of the adults have a role in this, right? And so we know that they're also going to need time and space, which we're taking on the professional day on October 6th to prepare, not only to review roles and responsibilities for all of the adults involved, but also to give time to teachers to explore in how to create content and how to create their assignments.
Right.
And the assignments will be in two places, or one of two places. They will be on the learnanywhereproject.org website, where students can go on and access this work, or they will use Google Classroom that will convey the content that teachers will use to kind of convey assignments during those days as well.
And I'd say many teachers, grades 5 through 12, and even some grade 3 and some grade 4, use Google Classroom regularly as a kind of a learning platform.
Yep.
So they will likely continue to use Google Classroom, where many elementary school teachers and some other specialists and other folks will use the Learn Anywhere website. But it's our goal by the time we get to early winter, when a cancellation could happen, our goal will be to have every teacher's name on the Learn Anywhere website. So if a parent at any point just would like to know, either out of curiosity or to support their child, what the child's assignments are, they'll be able to go on the learnanywhereproject.org website, look up the teachers, the students, their child's, grade, perhaps their team or their teacher, and click on the teacher's name, and it will either go right to the assignment or information about the assignment, or it'll say, see the teacher's Google Classroom site. So I think it should be very, very clear, and kids and parents and teachers will have that information in front of them. So maybe you can, and please know that the teachers will be communicating a lot as inclement weather approaches.
Right.
We certainly know that time of year. We're in a day and age where the weather forecasts are, for the most part, pretty accurate. So in anticipation, we'll do a lot of communicating as we get closer. But maybe you could talk a little bit about the different types of assignments, like when assignments are due, the short term, the end of unit, and the longer term.
Sure. Short term, so there are three types of assignments that are going to be assigned during the Learn Anywhere experience when we have snow days. One will be a short-term assignment, and those are built into the current unit of study that students are working on. And those will be due shortly after students return. Again, they will be able to be accessed through the learnanywhere.org website or Google Classroom.
Right, and it probably likely, let's say there's a snow day on, say, a Tuesday or a Wednesday, or maybe two in a row. The teacher might make the due date like the following Monday, maybe to include the weekend, maybe include a couple of days back, a day or two back at school, or maybe a little bit more, but probably I would say within a week would be the short term in terms of a range. Right,
and the kind of the end of unit assignments are kind of a little bit larger assignments that are going to ask students to kind of summarize the big ideas and really essential skills that they are using over the course of a unit that they might be studying.
Right.
So if, for example, like you said, there was a snow day on a Wednesday, and the unit is ending 3 weeks later, the assignment might be due in 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, where students are going to be asked to kind of summarize or to tie in or write about or respond to a prompt that kind of ties in a big idea or an essential question of a unit, and also to highlight what skills they may have learned or an opportunity to demonstrate those skills during that assignment
Right.
as well.
And I think when you think of these end-of-unit assignments as connected to the big ideas that are unit-based, it provides some flexibility with for the teachers around planning too, because they know what the units of study will be in December and January and February and March, which are the times most likely to have snow cancellations. And if you're a science teacher and you want to prepare, an experiment or that students can do at home or can collaborate on to develop an experiment at home that's connected to a unit of study, or if you're a social studies teacher at the high school and you want to pick out some articles that you know are related and will enhance the learning for that unit, and you're going to have students maybe respond with a blog post both to the reading and to other students. Or perhaps you're a second grade teacher and you know what unit of study you're in the writing curriculum. You're in the middle of opinion writing, and knowing that, the teacher can really do some advanced preparation about what kind of an assignment would really enrich students' learning in that unit of study. So I think it provides the teachers with a little bit of flexibility in their thinking too. An assignment that can kind of go almost anywhere in that unit, regardless of when that snow day might fall. So I think that could place a little bit of, flexibility for teachers in terms of their preparation and their thinking.
Yeah, I've actually heard teachers talking a little bit about the potential or their excitement around the opportunity for students to maybe even get out or to do something that they wouldn't normally do during the regularly scheduled school day. Right. If they went to the BB library and researched a project, or if they were able to kind of, if there are kind of older students got together in a group and were able to get into a museum or do something that they wouldn't normally be doing, but had an opportunity to do because of the learning or
I think
assignment.
that goes straight to the third type of assignment. So you've mentioned short term, which is kind of probably within a week, the end of unit, which is maybe a little bit broader, a few weeks or a month or even 4 or 5 weeks. And then the kind of what you're talking about too reminds me a lot of that longer term project. So one of the things we really were pretty passionate about building into this was this idea that if a teacher chooses to do something a little, just maybe kind of exciting, to provide an opportunity for students that they wouldn't normally have, they might say, this assignment, even though the snow day was on fill in the blank, February 7th, this assignment's not due until, May 1st. This is a longer term assignment because I want to give you access to your weekends, school vacation, or the time you need to kind of explore or do something. So you mentioned a museum, maybe an art teacher or a history teacher might want students to have some kind of a museum, or a science teacher, a museum experience, either virtually or live and in person, or to visit a historical site or something like that. And that gives kids and families plenty of opportunity to kind of think about what they're going to do and make it an exciting, meaningful, and personalized and choice-driven opportunity. One of the things we've asked the teachers to be very attentive to in terms of equity is that when they're imagining and putting together these assignments, that they think about that some students may or may not have access, for example, to go into Boston to a museum. So to make sure that you're always thinking about what's right here in Wakefield, that a student would have a choice. It's a place they could walk to. We have plenty of wonderful historical and beautiful, sites and places right here in Wakefield. And online, the entire world is open, for kids.
Yeah, I think, the opportunity to reconnect with the community and to use the resources that are here that some of our students don't have a lot of experience with is really just a wonderful opportunity for this project and for our students to work within this project.
And I'm just going to say, Doug, it sure beats sitting in school on June 24th
when it's
as a
100
compliance
degrees. Yeah.
activity, right?
Yeah,
With
yeah.
a teacher trying to find something meaningful for kids to do. I would much rather have a teacher thinking about what can I offer to a student kind of more in real time curriculum connection for their students to make up that snow day rather than just coming back at the end of the year as an issue of compliance. So then, you know, we talked a little bit about kind of maybe the times of the lengths of the assignments. And again, I think it's just really important to emphasize, this might be the hardest part for people to kind of get past,
Right.
is it's about quality, not about time.
Right.
So we want it to be developmentally appropriate and think about, you know, for children who are in grades pre-K to 2, let's say that grade band will look differently than students who are in high school that maybe can manage a longer period of time. So we kind of set some just general parameters, right? You know, where for an elementary school child in first grade, it might be maybe no more than a total of an hour, maybe some time on some math, maybe some time on some reading or some writing.
Right.
But again, something that's quality and meaningful.
Right. The teachers, because at the elementary level they're in self-contained classes, they'll also have the ability to prioritize and kind of connect, I think, well with what students need, but also to the work that they're doing in their classes.
Right.
So during that period of time, if students are engaged and they're working, students can get a lot done in a little amount of time.
Right. And I think the other thing that people really have to think about is this is not about a specific time of day.
Right.
So it's not as if we're expecting students to sit down at the time school would have started
Right.
and to stay engaged for, you know, a certain period of time. One of the things about virtual learning is it can happen anytime, any place. So I will say, if a family would like to make a couple of buckets of popcorn and watch movies for a couple of hours,
Sure.
and then start the work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and work a little bit before dinner and after dinner, that's perfectly fine. Older students, some of our middle school and high school students, really enjoy working in the evening and collaborating with their friends online. Teachers may reach out to students and say, you know, I'll be online myself to answer your questions, or I'll be on Google Classroom, you know, reading your work and maybe commenting on your work, giving you feedback. Or they might just say, you know what, you collaborate, be creative, do your work, and you know, and we'll kind of check in with you tomorrow. You know, so it really depends. There's a lot of flexibility and variability, and I think that's extremely important for this program because we're talking about so many different kinds of students, ages of students, grades, content areas, but we really have been very thorough in thinking about all of that, and we're trying to create the inherent flexibility within the program so that teachers can make meaningful experiences for their kids. You know, and you'll find on the FAQs on the Learn Anywhere website really all of that information. There's a couple of other questions too about, you know, what if a student was absent? You know, what would you do, and all of that, and it's honestly the simple answer is what you would normally do. You know, if a student was absent on a regular school day, the student gets the assignment, and when they're feeling better or they're back in action, they'll get to making up their work. You know,
Right.
We can expect. I think parents are going to want to know, when can I expect to see these assignments posted? So our expectation is that teachers will post them the morning of the snow day, although they're welcome to do them before. It might get posted the night before, the day before, weeks before, months before, depending on the type of assignment, you know, that's crafted. But at the very latest, it will be the morning of a snow day.
Right.
And then kids and families can take a look and kind of make their plans accordingly. But I think it will all be pretty reasonable. Maybe you could speak, Doug, to the accountability piece. So how are we going to know if it's successful?
So, like I mentioned earlier, everyone is going to have a role in this project. And so one of the things that we're going to ask our assistant principals and directors to do is to, when students come back and assignments are coming in, to collaborate with teachers to really get a sense of what's being done, right? And so we call that essentially, it's like our Checkin Balance or our audit, if you will, right? Where the administrators are really checking to see, you know, how are students, what are they doing? What are they producing? And
Is it connected to curriculum? Is it
connected to
quality
curriculum?
learning? Right.
But also to give us a sense of, with kind of maybe the underlying question of, how can we improve this process? This isn't, a one-time, judgment of good or not good, but more objectively looking at this saying, okay, we're pleased with what students are turning in here. This might be an area of growth for us, and really, how do we do that objectively, right? And so, and probably what I should have started with is on the front side of this. When teachers are preparing, we commented a moment ago about giving teachers time on October 6th to prepare for this, but they're also going to be working with curriculum coordinators and literacy coaches to help them create standards-based activities that really have some integrity.
Right.
And they would fall into one of the three kind of descriptors that we described, right? Short-term assignments,
Right.
unit assignments, or longer-term assignments. But everyone has a role in this. So the curriculum coordinators and the coaches will be working to help teachers create assignments on the front side. We'll have a snow day, and as work comes in, the principals, assistant principals, and directors will be kind of checking in to see what student work looks like, and how people are feeling, and how teacher leaders are feeling about the work that's being turned in. Are they pleased? How do we improve this process? Because this is not only about student learning, it's about adults learning and getting better as well.
Right. I mean, really the plan is this is year one. Right. It won't be without its bumps and hiccups, but if we do this well and we're really attentive to this audit, I think we can really improve, right. And each year we'll only get better with it. Yeah, so, I guess maybe we probably should wrap up a little bit. Just a couple of random thoughts that have popped into my mind. One is that, if any parents are worried, I would just say, don't worry. We've really been thoughtful about this. I think that, a parent might say, oh gosh, what if I'm at work? What if I can't help? What if my, if my child needs me? I think we've really kind of built that into the thinking of the program, that we're not leaning on parents to do teaching at home. We're not expecting a parent to become a teacher at home, right? We're expecting, parents to be in the role they're always in, which is, what are you doing for your assignment? What are you supposed to do, honey? What's happening? How can I help you? And if I'm not here to help you during the day, I'll give you a hand, later, as you would anytime, a student has a project or a homework assignment, and certainly we have the support and resources at home. So, and we also don't want to take a joy out of the snow day call, right? So everybody, including myself, really throughout my career, even when you're a teacher, it's really kind of fun and exciting when there's a snow day, and there's always it's always a great choice to go out on your sled, I mean, and it doesn't necessarily have to end, because the idea is, again, it's not a compliance check of sitting in your chair continuously or at a desk for a certain amount of hours. It's about completing a standards-based, quality, real-time curriculum assignment over a period of time that's given to you, and completing that assignment, or assignments, because for some students there'll be multiple, many of the students will be multiple assignments, but completing those, and it'll be realistic in terms of demand, completing those to count for that school day. And at the end of the day, I really believe that the Wakefield Public Schools will be able to say that that the kind of learning and the quality of learning that is happening is better than that June 24th day, making up as a compliance-based activity at the end. It's just, it has to be better. It will be better. And I feel confident and very excited about that. Over the last few weeks and over the summer, but even just in the last 2 days, I've received calls from 3 different superintendents from different districts. One of the things that I really love about being in the Wakefield Public Schools is that we're brave, we're leaders in this work, we're leaders in education, and we are one of the very first districts out of the gate in terms of realizing something that took a tremendous amount of planning. So we're really super proud of it, and lots of other districts want to learn from us, and I'm sharing our materials with everyone, saying you're more than welcome to them. And yeah, so I think anything else, because I probably would like to wrap up in a moment.
Yeah, I think just I too am very pleased at kind of the reception that we've gotten from our peers from surrounding towns who are curious about what we're doing and about how they too can learn about this and maybe even give this a try themselves. But one of the things that I think I'm most pleased about is not only the leaders being willing to try this, but the teachers being willing to try this. And I know that what we're presenting and talking about today, is really an artifact of a few years of thinking and a few years of planning and a few years of work. But none of this would be possible without the feedback and the work of our teachers. Yeah. So I think they're really at the heart of this. And
really proud of them, and really grateful to the core of teachers we have with their creativity, their work ethic, and their willingness to do this for kids. And I'm excited. And I really want to thank the school committee. It did require one of the things that the State Department of Education instructed us to do was to make sure that when you put together an alternative learning day structure, that it requires local school committee support and a vote. Mm-hmm. So I think our school committee is tremendously brave, to say, we're ready and we're going to be leaders in this work, and I love it, and makes me really excited. I will just announce that I hope that this session might be helpful, just kind of listening in to Doug and I talking about the Learn Anywhere project for school cancellation days. But we're also going to make ourselves available for a parent information and Q&A evening on Monday, October 16th at the Galvin Middle School from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. I'll also send something out, a message to parents, where parents can just fire any questions at us that they have, or and we can talk more about it, just so you have some face-to-face time with us, just because in year one it's something different, it's something new, and I want everyone to feel comfortable and excited about it. So we look forward to that as well. But thank you to WCAT for giving us the opportunity to talk about the Learn Anywhere School Cancellation Project.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.